Hey girl, hey. I'm here today with my friend and real estate agent, Elizabeth Gleason. She had me on her show today to talk about home decor trends, but I wanted to make sure and ask you questions that my followers have about all things real estate. So one of the questions that everyone has, and I would be interested to know, is how do you know and how do you pick the right realtor for you and your family?
Okay, so a couple of questions you want to ask yourself. I know that whenever I'm interviewing potential clients, my question to them is, what are the top 3 things that you're looking for in a real estate agent? It's important to work with somebody that you trust. At the end and the beginning of every day, you want somebody who's going to have your best interests at heart. The second thing is knowledge, market knowledge. What do they know about the area? Because if you have a house to sell, you want to make sure that you're working with an expert who's going to know that market and the market trends so they can help you with your home, whether you're buying or selling. The last thing is communication. It's really important to stay in touch, answer all of the questions that you can. So I would say trust, market knowledge, and good communication.
Awesome. So you want somebody that's going to return your calls.
Exactly. Answer my
sure.
emails and text me back, please.
Okay, another question that we have, which I also would love to know this, is it better when you're going to list your home to do all the updates, or what about giving them like an allowance so that they can pick their upgrades?
Okay, so that is a really popular and common question. The main homes in a room that sell your house are going to be your kitchen and your bathrooms. But you want to make sure that when you are making these upgrades that you're making selections that are going to be neutral. The white subway tile ceramic is always a good choice. Make sure that whatever you're working with is going to be clean and understated. If you are thinking about redoing your floors, for example, you can give them an allowance. So what I would recommend is that you go to the design store, you pick up a couple of samples. As your home is listed, you can have the samples laying out, and then you can just give them a credit because they may pick something out that you would not have selected. So it would save you time and money and energy, and it also is just a nice feel good for that buyer.
That's awesome. I've heard lately people doing virtual staging, and there's programs now where you could show what your home would look like with new floors. Do you think that's a good idea or a bad idea if you're offering a credit to say, we will give you a flooring allowance and here's what it would look like with new floors?
I think it's a great idea. So oftentimes, like what I find is when I'm working with buyers, everyone, I would say the majority of people, they need a visual because they can't understand what it would look like. Even with an empty house, it doesn't have any furniture. It's like we have to sit there and talk about your couch would look good here. Let's draw it out because they have a hard time visualizing that space. So it's definitely helpful.
Okay, great. So as far as furniture and staging, go ahead and have that. But if you are going to offer an allowance, show some samples and maybe some photos.
Yes.
Perfect. Another question would be, and you kind of already answered this, what to focus on most when prepping your house to sell. So you were saying kitchens and baths sell a home, so make sure those look good.
Yes.
How important is like landscaping, and if you want to talk about that, what?
Yes.
Okay.
So curb appeal is extremely important. People are going to drive by because they're going to see your listing online, or they're going to see the sign in the front yard, and that is a first impression that you are making on people. You also want to make sure that your house is clean. Clean the windows, deep clean the window sills. It kind of gives you a reason to deep clean your house. If you're like me, it's not something I do as often as I should. But when people walk in, you've got less than 30 seconds to make a great first impression. Make sure the house is clean, make sure it's decluttered, depersonalized. You want them to visualize the space as theirs, not necessarily as yours.
Awesome. That's interesting. So is that like scientifically 30 seconds?
It is.
Okay. I've walked into a home before and been like, neep.
Yes,
walk right back out, immediately.
Exactly.
Okay, great. And then what about smells? Is that why we are always burning a candle during a showing? Okay.
This is a really big one, especially if you have pets or if you're a smoker. Again, you have a few seconds to make a good first impression. You want it to smell good, you want it to feel good, and you want it to look good.
Awesome. Okay, the last one I think that's important to talk about is what repairs could be expected to leave for a new homeowner, and what are things that you need to have taken care of before you list it?
Okay, so the major things that an inspector is going to focus on whenever you have a potential buyer, it's going to be related to your HVAC system, so your air conditioner and your heater. You want to make sure that your plumbing is in order, your foundation, and your roof has been checked, and electrical. Those are going to be the 5 major things. So don't worry about necessarily the caulking and repairing. I mean, obviously, if you have a hole in the wall, you want to repair that, but make sure that the 5 major things are taken care of before you put your home on the market. That way you can present it in its best light.
Yeah.
And it really just sets everybody up for success.
Yeah, and then there's no surprises at inspection.
Exactly. And if you know that there are a couple of handyman things that you can take care of, go ahead and do that. Replace the light bulbs if a light bulb's out, because then the inspector can't test that and somebody might think you have an electrical issue. So things as small as that.
Okay, great. Well, so if anybody has any more questions, I know they can reach you on social media with a direct message. If you'll tell us your Instagram handle and how we can find you.
Okay, so on Instagram, you can find me at Elizabeth, the letter X, Gleason. So if you guys have any questions or if I can help you out in any way, don't hesitate to reach out.